Okay, so over here under menu, you're going to go to the extra help with Medicare prescription drug plan cost. So an individual needs to be in some type of Medicare plan to apply for this coverage for prescriptions, whether that's a standalone PDP, prescription drug plan, or if that comes along with their Medicare Advantage plan. But to apply for this, they need to be in some type of plan. But what you would do is you will apply for online. You can hit this if you want to find out if you qualify. Or you can just do the same thing of go back. Either one of these, apply for online help or find out if you qualify, will take you to this next page. And this is where you're gonna do apply now. And you would hit next. And then you're gonna start applying for these different things. And I'll walk through this as much as I can until it makes me start putting in information, but it's super simplistic, you guys. Are you assisting someone with this application other than your spouse who lives with you? No. Did you get an application in the mail from us? No. Do you have Medicare? Yes. Are you 64 years and 9 months old or older? Yes. Have you received Social Security disability benefits for 24 months? Disability benefits based on ALS, renal dialysis treatments, or kidney transfers, or kidney transplant. You put no if they've not been on Social Security disability. You're gonna put what state they're in. You're gonna put if they're single, married, not living together, divorced, widowed. And that matters, guys. So don't just slam someone into a single if they've been divorced before, or don't slam someone into single if they're widowed. Just, you want to clarify that these little nitty-gritty details when it comes to the federal government matters. And then this is the big question. Do you have combined savings, investments, real estate worth more than $30,950 if you are married and living with your spouse, or $15,510 if you're not married or not living with your spouse? So this is their checking savings, investments, and real estate outside of their own home. Their own home does not count as real estate. It's any additional properties that they would have that they would be making some income off of. So it says include things that you own by yourself with your spouse or without. Do not count home, vehicles, personal possessions, life insurance, burial plot, irrevocable burial contracts, or pay back payments from Social Security. So you put no, move on next. And then this is where they're going to need their Social Security number. Really, they just need to come down and need their card. Bank account statements isn't necessarily necessary. You just need to have access to what is in their bank account. So if they use online banking, if they get a bank statement, you're going to need this information because it's going to ask how much money do they have in their bank account. And then any IRA, stocks, bonds, savings bonds, mutual funds, other investments, all these things will matter. Tax returns, payroll slips if they're still working, and your most recent Social Security benefit award letters or statements for railroad retirement benefits. So guys, the two people I met with, they had this little piece of paper that was their 2021 Social Security benefit summary. So it shows you how much money they're making on an annual basis. Then it shows you how much their Part B deduction is being taken out. And then it shows how much net or how much was actually deposited into their account, which all of these will matter when you're applying for these different things. So this is where you'll start to fill out their nitty-gritty information of their personal information, their contact info, any other person that they may want as a point of contact, or if they have a power of attorney or anything of that nature. And then this is the big one that I wanted to point out right here. Information about Medicare Savings Program. Can anybody tell me what that means? What does Medicare Savings Program mean?
Medicaid.
Yeah, Medicaid.
Bingo. So just put that into your mind. Medicare Savings Program is Medicaid. So it's going to be really important for you to know whether or not your client is on Medicaid or if they're not on Medicaid. Because there's a lot of people who are very low income. They're just not aware that they can apply for Medicaid, and you can actually help them get money back into their Social Security benefit each and every month. And you can get them extra help as far as their co-pays go. So if they are not already in Medicaid and they're under that 15,510, that would be the threshold, then I would help them apply for Medicaid or suggest to have them apply for Medicaid. So if you don't want them to apply for it, you click the box no. If you want them to apply for it, you'll just leave it as is. And what will happen is when you submit the application, it's going to get submitted to the federal government, and then they're going to submit it to the state in whatever state that you're applying for them at. Does everyone follow me on this? Okay, cool. So I wanted to bring that up. I don't know if it's going to allow me to move on without filling this information in. It's not. I won't sit here and bore you guys with that. But after that, it starts asking about their bank information, how much they have in their account, assets, any type of real estate, anything that they own, besides just their car or their home. And then you'll input that information in, and then you hit submit. And it usually takes 2 to 3 weeks for them to come back and let them know whether or not that they are approved for LIS and for Medicaid. Does anybody have any questions on that before I move on?
Is there, I can't remember the exact number. What's the certain number that their income has to be to kind of, or would you just apply if you feel like they're very low income?
$15,510.
$510 a month.
No. 15,000 is what they have collectively together.
Okay,
So
what's the
it's
510?
it's not based on their monthly income. It's based off of what they have collectively in their asset management, if you want to call it that.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Gage,
Yep.
that number fluctuates, and there's also partial help. So it's not one size fits all. So
Right, yeah.
pretty much if they make, because in Alabama it was up to 1,800 and they could apply for some kind of assistance. So
Right,
just
25%.
remember that, the numbers aren't exactly the same from state to state, but one of the things you want to do is when you get to that appointment and you immediately start asking for like the Medicare card, the red, white, and blue card, and their carrier card, if you suspect, or it might be a good habit to ask if they have their Medicaid card as well. Now, obviously, you want to be sensitive with that question, because if you walk into a couple of the houses we walked in and you ask them about a Medicaid, you might get thrown out. But there's some quite obvious Medicaid recipients when they're living in like group housing with a bunch of other people that, hard knock life type thing. So you want to make that almost part of your introduction, like when you're asking them to grab their cards. But like Gage said, the other thing is too, so the extra help has to be applied for yearly. So if they had it last year and they didn't apply for it this year, it doesn't mean that they have it. So just keep that in mind, that it's something they have to renew yearly, not one time, one and done type thing. All right, sorry, Gage, I just wanted to throw that in.
No, you're good. I mean, I would think a threshold, if they're single and they're making under 2,000 a month, there's a good chance that they can get partial help with LIS. So they have 100% LIS, they have 50% LIS, and they have 25% LIS. So based off their income and their situation, they'll get back as much help as they can qualify for. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. So my rule of thumb is if they're single and they're making under 2,000, there's a good chance they can get some type of help. So keep that in mind. Now, if there's two of them together and they're making over 3 grand, I say under 3 grand with two would be my threshold. So one person under 2 grand, two people under 3,000. Okay.
Hey, Gage,
So go ahead.
when we're referring to help, is that actually money that would be put back into their Social Security,
Nope.
or how is that help applied?
So it's a variety of different benefits as far as grocery cards or
Okay.
reduce it. Like it's gonna be nothing monetary, not any type of money, but some type of help, a card that they get sent out, a gym membership that they get sent out. So it's gonna be some type of non-dollar associated type of help, if that makes sense. Am I correct on
Yeah.
that, Billy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know. In Sprout and I ran into this. When somebody gets approved, they'll have a code. Like Sprout and I were on the phone trying to figure out codes, and the lady was like, "You could have just asked me. I could have told you that code." So, you know, don't, you know, ask them if they know what their code is, because those lines can take a while to get answered. And the lady was like, she just like, "You could have just asked me." So just, you know, if they do have it, ask them what their code is, because there's different levels. You can also look people up in a couple of the systems.
Yeah, that makes, now that's like what Joe was referring to on those Humana plans he was going over. There were some benefits, those ones that were in pink. So those would apply for folks that qualify for LIS.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. So LIS is just additional help, extra help from the government based off of their low income status or what they're currently pulling in. And it's a great way for you to provide a service for them or educate them on something that they probably don't even know about or even know that it existed. So now you're bringing value to them that they didn't ask for. So now you're much more valuable as the agent versus someone over the phone just trying to slam them into a plan or just getting there to put them into some type of Medicare enrollment. Really taking your time with these people and being an active listener is going to be so crucial in you running these appointments. And so right now, you guys, we're a week away from October. And for you guys that have any, I don't care if you have one, I don't care if you have two, I don't care if you have five, I don't care if you have 10 clients. But if you have any active clients on the books that are over 65 or been disabled for more than 2 years, can you call them for me this week? Please? Put some type of time frame into your week where you're going to call your current clients and ask them who their Medicare agent is. And if they have a Medicare agent, they're free leads. They're an opportunity for you to talk to your client, and you don't need to have all of these compliance things when you're talking to your client compared to someone who is just off the streets or just looking for general information. So this week, you should get at least 1 to 5 to 10 people you talk to this week about their Medicare. So then you can get the jitters out. So then that way you can stumble on your words. So then that way you can run into something that you don't know what to do. But it's time for us to take action. Whether you have 1 client, 5 clients, 10 clients, 20 clients, 100 clients, it does not matter.
I got a question.
Let's hear it, Paul.
So I was talking to some people. One guy, he's 70 in North Carolina. I'm not licensed in North Carolina. He's with Humana. He's got Part A and Part B. He's looking for just some upgrades like memberships and that kind of thing. And he wants to look at it. So I look at it because he's, you know, kind of like a friend of mine. Is somebody licensed in North Carolina that can help me out? And additionally, I got 2 people in Texas same situation. They're going to let me look at their Medicare now, but I'm not licensed in Texas. Or should I just go through the process of getting licensed? Thank you.
I mean, personally, if I were you, Paul, and you had the funds to do it, I would get licensed because you're giving someone a renewal, you're giving someone your opportunity. And Texas is pretty quick and not too expensive. And the same thing with North Carolina. But if funds are an issue of yours, you can reach out to me. I live in Texas, so I have my Texas license. I have my North Carolina license as well.
You know how long it takes?
Each state's a little bit different, man, but if you applied for them today, you should have both of them back within 2 weeks, which you'll have both of them before October 15th when you can make those enrollments. So personally, that's 3 enrollments that you could potentially have. So instead of handing that off, I would do it yourself, just so then you can get practice, because it sounds like it's people you know.
Yeah, they are people I know.
Yeah, and number 2, it's great. It'll be great experience for you dealing with people who aren't like worried about you knowing a bunch of their information or kind of screwing them over.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. So that's what I wanted to go over, you guys. Like I said, this is an opportunity for you to speak up and to kind of tell us where you're at with things. Billy, if you want to kind of elaborate on your experience out in the field and kind of what you think people should be aware of. But I just got to say this, guys. I learned more in those 2 appointments from the emotional impact of not knowing what I was supposed to do and finding the answer, or researching the answer, or going to find the answer to understand more of Medicare. There's a lot of moving pieces that go involved, but that's why I'm asking you, if you have 1 client, 5 clients, 10 clients, please call them this week so you can start talking to them about it. But if you want to add anything, Billy, and then we can kind of just go around the table here.
Yeah. So one of the things I know, just because I have a lot of text messages and phone calls, I know that a lot of y'all are nervous. Okay. I promise you, it took me 8 years to get to this point, but it's so simple if you just do it. Now, there's a disclaimer to that. It's so simple if you're doing it in an area or 2. If you're doing it all over the United States, it might be a little different because the plans will change from, location to location. But for instance, when Jared and I ran in Alabama, once you get in a house, 90% of the people are all going to have the same plan, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like we had to do all this magic when we sat down with these people. As soon as they showed us their card, we knew that what they were in. And then if they didn't have any special thing going on, like LIS or complaints with that carrier, there wasn't a whole lot we could do other than change the agent of record and wait for the new plans to come out. So just like you use insurance toolkits, if you sit down with your clients and you type in their doctors and their medications, it's going to spit out the best carrier for them with the best benefits. And then it's just a matter of being able to read, the benefits that are going to be listed for those people. It really is that simple. But I know for a fact that a lot of you guys are sitting back petrified. But until you make that first move and get uncomfortable, it's like I told you, sell your grandma, sell your friend that's 65, or at least sit down with them and go over the process, because you'll soon find out how simple it is. But until you do it, you're going to keep thinking, like I thought for 8 years, that it's so difficult, impossible, but it really isn't. So all I can tell you is lose the fear. you know, hopefully a lot of you guys are ready to sell. And if you're not, you know, on delay. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of clients. And if you talk to any life insurance client that you have, and test me on this, anybody that you talk to this week, that's potential new client, that's 65, ask them if they have a Medicare agent. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no. So the opportunity is infinite for us. So, you know, just make sure that you're ready to sell and that you're not afraid. And if you're afraid, reach out to myself, Gage, Sprout. You know, we can help you. And if we can't get the right answer, we'll find it. So, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. And you definitely don't want to get caught from the outside looking in on this going, damn, I wish I would have got that stuff squared away. So that's really all I got to say. I'm really looking forward to answering y'all's questions, concerns, and all that good stuff.
What y'all
So-
got? I know y'all are sitting back with questions or concerns, or this time is for you. So please speak up. I can't nudge you and be like, hey, Mar, speak up. Hey, Jordan, speak up. Hey, Robert,
I have
speak
a
up.
question.
What you got?
Or maybe not a question, but Billy, can you maybe say something like the first thing you say when you knock on their door and they open it?
Yeah. So number one, and Sprout can attest to this, when you go to the door, they're ready for you. I mean, we had a couple people that forgot, but once we said that we're the Medicare guys, boom, it was just like that. But most of the people are waiting for us. So then as soon as you sit down, you know, you just go in there with them. And the first thing that we did was we would ask them for their blue card, their Medicare red, white, and blue card, and any carrier cards that they had, and a Medicaid card if they had it. And then we would just start asking them questions, because they're going to sit down and respond to you, or they're going to tell you things. Like we have Humana, and we're in the Gold Plus program. And Sprout and I knew after running in the area a little while that if they were in that, we were in trouble as far as getting them in something better, because there was only 4 or 5 plans in the area. So what we were hoping, we would walk in there and they'd say they were in Cigna or they were in something else. So it really is just walking in the house and introducing yourself as the licensed Medicare broker, the Medicare advisor, or whatever you want to be. And then you just ask them, because you want to be, to me, you want to be a little bit more professional, as opposed to sit in there and talk for 5-10 minutes about rapport, because these are, seniors and they know why you're there. And you're going to have some that want to talk a lot. But if you just go in there with a professional manner and you're like, okay, Mark, can I see your red, white, and blue Medicare card and your carrier card if you have one, like your Humana, United? And then they would say, yeah, sure. And in some cases they would have to go and get it, but then they would go get it. And then a Medicaid card, if I suspected that they might be on Medicaid, I would ask if they have a Medicaid card. And then you just start from there. You just, literally take their information, look at the plan that they're in, look at the zip code, and it will show you. Start asking them about their doctor, who their primary care physician is. Put the doctor in. Then, okay, Mark, do you take any medicine? And that's when the bags come out, the bowling bags full of medicines, or in some cases, not too many, but then they bring the medicine to you, because it's going to be a lot easier to have them bring the medicine to you than to try to type it in. Just get it from them. So have them grab the medicine, type it in, and then it's going to spit out the plans and compare them to the other plans. And then at that point, you'll be able to tell your client, okay, Mar, you're in the best plan, or okay, Mar, you're in a pretty good plan, but over here with this carrier or the same carrier, I can get your maximum out of pocket down $800. I can get you transportation. I can get $50 back in your Social Security. I can get you, you know, $5 copays, $125 grocery card. So you'll see the differences. And then it's just a matter of communicating them. And for you guys that do life insurance, that's the easy part, is taking what they don't have and showing them what they can have. And then the enrollment process, once they say, sign me up, the enrollment process literally takes probably 5 minutes. Like literally all you're getting is their name, which you kind of already have because you built a profile to get their medicines, but you don't need bank account. You don't need anything like that. And then you submit it. You know, the thing was you have to have an enrollment code during AEP. That's going to be simple because you don't really need one. But, you know, Sprout and I had to dig up a couple enrollment codes, but they're there. But that's what it looks like, Mar. I mean, it really is that simple. You're literally asking them like you would ask a life insurance client, what medicines do you take? The only difference outside of the medicines that they take is the doctor. And technically, you're not supposed to ask them about their health. But here's the deal. As you build this profile, you'll ask them questions like, okay, so who do you like your primary doctor? If they say yes, go ahead with his name. And then you put the doctor in. Do you have any specialists? Oh yeah, I go to a diabetes doctor. Okay, so now you just picked up that they have diabetes. So now what I want to do more is I want to look and see what medicines you take and make sure that they're going to be covered. Do you have those medicines, right? So I'm not asking you about your illnesses. I'm just saying these are the pieces of information that I need in order to provide a snapshot of what it's going to look like for you. But it really is that simple. Did that help ease your mind a little bit?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Mind if I jump in here?
No, go ahead, Paul.
So I'm just going to give my 2 cents, and if I'm out of line, somebody tell me. But what I heard in that question, and I don't know who you are, young lady, but what I heard in that question was, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to say when that door initially opens. I don't think, at least what I heard, I don't think what she was asking was what happens when I get in the, what do I say when that door opens? Like, what's my initial thing? Did I hear that question right, or did I hear that question wrong?
Yeah, no, yeah, and he did cover that. He said, I'm your Medicare advisor or Medicare licensed broker. So yeah, that was the question, but I'm glad that he kind of, did a whole little role play there.
So again, I'm just going to give my 2 cents, and if you don't want it, that's fine. Just tell me to hush up, and I will. I'm from Boston. I don't get offended. But if you've never done door-to-door sales, which I've done, my recommendation would be to literally just go practice, like go to a friend's house and physically knock on their door and have them physically open it and just role play it. The best sales experience in the world is just role playing it. And you just sort of get the muscle to just that feeling of your muscle knocking on a door and your brain triggering, and it makes a big difference as opposed to doing it with a stranger. That's my 2 cents.
Gotcha. Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you, Paul. Okay, next question.
So Billy, because I'm getting ready to go to an appointment in home right now. Quick question. I'm kind of confused. I did the trainings, right? I did the training for like Scan, United Health, those. But then I got an email from, I believe, One Life saying I had to go back into Connecture because I never originally put my writing number in there. But even though I went through the training and everything, I'll just have to go back and put my writing number in there and I'll have access to do whatever I need to do.
Yeah, so here's the deal with Connecture, guys and gals. When you get a new writing number, you've got to go add it to Connecture. So you can't do anything with Connecture for any carriers without a writing number. And you can apply for 7 of them, but if you have no writing number, it won't be listed in there. So it's kind
Okay,
of like
that makes sense.
something that you have to build on.
Let's put out there.
But just remember, you can use Medicare.gov to get the information, and hopefully it won't be so close that Connecture, what Connecture will help you with is going from a comparison straight to an application. Like I did mine through the Humana Vantage portal. So just make sure, Karina, when you go out there, since you're not in scan ready to go, that you have access to log into the different plans in the websites that they use for enrollments, because all the carriers have their own enrollment tool, and you can use those if you need to. But so it's a good reminder to go back into Connecture and add all the ready to sell companies and carriers that you have set up now. So when you get out in the field, you're looking at all your options, not just the ones that you signed up for in Connecture and didn't go back and update, if that makes sense.
Heard. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I shared my screen here, you guys. So if you have one writing number, if you have 2 writing numbers, as long as you have one writing number, go to your Reagan AI right now and let's get you registered. Because I bet there's a handful of you that are on here that are not registered right now.
Yeah. Scan, I don't know if people are waiting for the writing number, but it should be your national producer number, I believe, with Scan.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to have that ready to sell email though, because you can have it but not have the ready to sell email.
Yeah.
And you won't get it. So just by putting your national MPN in there isn't going to get it for you if you don't have a RTS, because they bounce off of the RTSs and then add it to Connecture for each individual.
So everyone go to Reagan AI so we can get you registered, if you have not done this yet. Because we need to get this taken care of today. I know at least most of you guys got one carrier that you're ready to sell with. So let's get you access to Connecture and we can kind of mess around with it so you guys can see the power of it. So you'll go to Reagan AI, and when you're under Reagan AI, you'll go to register. When you click register, it's going to take you to the screen. You put in your information. You're not a call center agent, and then whatever ones that you want to get added into, you'll add them. You'll add your writing number into these different whatever ones you're applying for. So I need to add my. Where's my devoted? You see devoted? Okay.
And I don't know if, did you already say this, but do we have to add every non-resident license right away, or?
So one of the things that's a good question, because there's a couple of these carriers ask for a whole lot of stuff. To be honest with you, definitely if you know you're going to be running in an area, go ahead and do that one first, just to make it simple and quick, and then come back and add your non-residents, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I remember when Tyler did a training on Connecture, he was like, yeah, it's best to get them all in right away because it'll be a pain to add later. But I was like, because then you have to have all your license numbers and stuff.
Yeah,
so
no, it's a crazy amount of info, and what's terrible is I've been through it, but I got it was just it's a rough process if you've got a lot of stuff in a lot of carriers, because some of them
Right.
for a lot of things that I wasn't expecting them to ask for.
I know, because I'm not registered with Connexture because I've just been not wanting to put all the license in yet. But as long as you can add them later, I think we might as well just get registered.
Yes.
Right.
Today is the day we're getting registered. Everybody who has a writing number. There's no more
Yeah.
waiting. We're waiting. We've been waiting for all these different things, but we need to register today so then we can maneuver through it and figure out how to work it on our own in our own time. Does everybody got it pulled up or click register that hasn't registered?
Hey, Mark.
Sorry, in the car, I can't do it.
It should be your NPMR. When I called them, that's what they said.
For Edna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
For Ultimate, I've only gotten the contract email and I haven't been able to, so I almost have everything else taken care of. Ultimate, I still haven't gotten done.
Are you planning on doing business in Florida, Cody?
No, I mean, I have a license there, but no, I don't really do business there. So don't even worry about it.
It's only in Ultimate's only in Florida.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So Edna is our national producer number, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Same with
your
Scan.
And I'm almost positive Devoted as well.
The only one that I figured out that isn't is Ultimate and Humana, I think, so far.
Is Devoted is are the tests all different for exams?
No, they should be the same, Gody.
The same? Okay.
I can help you if you still need it.
Yeah. I did it once and I failed, so I stopped.
I got you.
It's Centene. Centene, is that our national producer number?
Centene is WellCare.
Yeah, Centene's WellCare. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm ready with them.
What other questions do you guys got, or you're stuck on, or
For Connexture, so I did the registration. I just haven't gotten like an email or anything. I don't even have access to the One Life like lead portal, and I've like done all the stuff necessarily to do that. So I just don't. I'll have access to this regular AI.
when did you register for Connexture?
September 16th.
And did you put in your writing number?
Yeah. Let me see.
So one of the things that you could do is just go into the login screen and then act like you forgot your password. And that'll tell you if you've done it or not.
I just did it. I have a login. Thanks, Billy. It's just organizing these emails because there's a bunch of emails you get. So I put like sub labels on the side to try to, and even then it's still confusing.
100%, man. I get it. I get it.
Wait, is Devoted national producer number 2?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Question about recording phone calls. Would you recommend making them through Reagan AI or through the Medicare Marketplace?
You're saying using like the tool to quote? Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, I guess. Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Billy.
No, what I was going to say is, as far as recording the phone calls, as of today, I'm pretty sure I know where we're going, but there'll be an announcement with what tool we're going to use with instructions and training. And that was one of the things we were going to talk about today with John Gentry, but unfortunately he had some calls, but we'll get that direction out to you guys, because here's what we don't want to do. And this is just coming from a business standpoint. What we don't want to do is have everybody doing their own little thing because it's a compliance issue and you have to store it for a long time. So I could see my man Marcus down there with a Sony Walkman recording his phone calls, and we're not going to do that. So we're going to get the tool and then we'll push it out to everybody. But a lot of the carriers even have tools. So it kind of, there's going to be options, but what I would refrain from doing is trying to create your own recording system just because of the compliance around it, storing them for so long and all that good stuff. Because, you don't want to be carrying a storage bill for 10 years.
I know that what Tyler Burns recommended to us when we were out in Sacramento was Zoom. So Zoom has a not just your traditional Zoom, it has like Zoom communications, and it was $15 a month. And you can have it set up to where every inbound call and every outbound call is recorded. And that's $15 a month through Zoom.
But Gage, I don't know if you saw, but Integrity came out with a platform for that. And I think we're going to have access to that. So that's why I kind of.
No, I got you. We're a week away. So Zoom communications is what was suggested to us. If we get the Integrity thing, we'll let you guys know, and there'll be a unified message more or less. But for the time being, at $15 a month, you can use the Zoom communication.
And where would those, if you use the Zoom communication, where would those be stored?
Onto your Zoom account.
Like on the cloud.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a cloud. Yeah. That's another thing where Billy, I think, is right. I probably wouldn't move forward with that until we figure out. I mean, we can literally buy it the very last day if we don't get the other one rolled out. But the reason being is because the cloud storage for Zoom, you do have to pay for that too if it gets to a certain threshold. And since we do have to keep it for 10 years, it might get, a little pricey. So I would just wait until we see if the other one's rolled out.
I'm going to track that down. I'm going to make that a priority, Nikki. Thanks.
Okay.
I had a question about running final expense like mailers with the compliance side of things. So like, for example, Carlos and I were, we had knocked on a couple doors that we had a final expense mailer with. And, if they were already in a good spot with the final expenses that we were sitting there for, my understanding was that we couldn't talk about Medicare at all in that meeting. Or if we don't even offer them final expense, can we flip the script immediately and go to Medicare since we didn't actually sell them a life insurance, or how does that work?
No, so number one, did they see the ask me about Medicare buttons you guys had on?
No, we didn't have those on.
Okay, so that's the first step there. Because technically you can't solicit Medicare at all on that appointment unless they ask you about it. That's why I'm telling you guys, for $3, that ask me about Medicare button will pay for itself and a whole lot more if you're running final expense.
Yeah, which they did. She did just start talking about Humana. So we were like, oh yeah, we offer Medicare too. But then I was like, wait, can we even say that? Or...
Yeah. So Michaela, if something like that happens where they start talking to you about it, immediately have them fill out a scope of appointment.
Okay, cool.
That's your way to CYA.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay? Yeah, definitely, guys. If you don't have those ask me about Medicare buttons, definitely put that in your things to do.
I have that is for so I have already, these clients ask me for Medicare supplement. Like they ask me if I deal with it. It's going to be like a his and hers, and they want me to review it in their area. How do I go about that for setting the appointment? I'm able to talk to them October 1st, right?
So here's the deal. Actually, technically, if they ask you, you can talk to them today.
Yeah.
Okay. You just can't.
You have to wait to submit it.
You can't do anything new. You can't do any of the new plans till October 15th, but you can start talking about the new plans October 1st. But if there's something out there today, you can do it now. So what you have to do is this. So here's my thing. This is something for everybody to keep in mind. If somebody says, yeah, I have Humana, have them send you a picture of their plan card, because on that plan card, it will tell you exactly what plan they have. And then you can go look in the system and see what's out there. And if it's something that's coming out October 1st, you can look at first look, or if you don't want to look at first look and try to get ahead of the game, you can just wait till October 1st, and then those new plans will be in there and you can compare them. But you definitely, when somebody says they want you to look at something or etc., you need to find out what plan they have, and they're pretty easy to give that information up. It's pretty easy for them to give you that info because there's no sensitive data on it, but without it, you're flying in the dark. You know what I mean? You literally are flying in the dark without their plan that they're in.
Okay. And then every carrier we can enroll through Connecture, correct? Every carrier?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I thought. All right.
But just don't forget about the scope of appointments, because what you don't want to do is get in a house, get caught up, start talking, enroll somebody, and then come back and go, oh, dang, I didn't do my scope of appointment. The good thing is most of them will tell you, hey, you don't have a scope of appointment attached to this. And I don't know about Connecture 100%, but I know like some of the portals for the carriers, they will literally have check boxes. Like you can't proceed without the information, kind of like a life back.
Okay.
Yeah, Connecture does that too.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was 100% or just on most things.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't
Connecture
let you
has
move forward.
Connecture has an electronic scope of appointment. You can text them or email them from the portal, which is pretty cool. So I'll
You can
show
also
you.
have them signed too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 3 options. And then worst case, if they can't text or do any of that stuff, you can make a phone call.
So this is a scope of appointment confirmation form, but just a generic form that I just downloaded, and I'll put it into our Slack channel so you can print these off. But what I would suggest is that you print off 20 or 30 of these and have them in your bag so you're always just ready to rock and roll if the opportunity presents itself.
Did you send it to me, Gage?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the Slack. Do you have United? Do you have United?
United Healthcare, it's still pending review through One Life.
Okay. Well, if you have United and you're in Jarvis, you literally log into your Jarvis here, and under sales and marketing, you go under sales material, and that's, never mind, it's actually under tools. Where did I just find it? Oh, it's actually under the knowledge center. You go to forms, scope of appointment, and then they have this generic form that you can print off a bunch of these for. And they're not United specific, so these are just a generic form that you can utilize for any carrier. But like Billy was saying, that most of these companies have it in their portal. Specifically, if you're not using Connection, if you're using the Humana or you're using United, they don't allow you to complete the application without completing the scope of appointment.
Okay.
So just think like your scope of appointment is your financial inventory sheet. You're not going to be able to sell without completing your financial inventory sheet. You're not going to be able to sell without your scope of appointment. Same type of deal. But they have electronic, this is through Connecture. You can literally text it to them or email it to them, and they'll get it on their phone or on their tablet, and they can literally follow the steps to complete it, and then it'll get sent back to you for you to complete as well.
Okay. And then do you guys get emails from Molina? Molina
Yeah.
Healthcare? Who's Molina? Is that just a different carrier? Is that one that we requested? Because I didn't see it on.
It's ACA, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually both. It's actually both. It is Medicare and ACA. Cigna's the same thing.
So I want to show you guys how once you have access to Connecture, it'll look
Yeah,
like,
I have it pulled up too. I want to walk through it with you.
so it's on this, you'll get this dashboard essentially, right? And then what is cool, it'll keep log of anything that you do through here. So my first enrollment, I went straight through United Healthcare, so it's not registered in a connection because I went straight to the site. But anytime you use this to enroll, it's going to track your enrollments, your quotes, scope of appointment, your different mymedicare.gov, and it's just kind of like your all-in-one ultimately. There's agent training materials that you can click on. That's the thing you just seen, how to maneuver it through it and everything. But what you would do is you'd click plans, and then we'll just use Dallas, my zip code here, because I know that we'll have a bunch of plans. So you put shop for plans. So what's gonna pop up on these plans is only the carriers that you're licensed with, or only the carriers that you're registered through Connexure through. So as you guys can see, it's gonna just show my Humana and WellCare, as those are the two companies that I've registered thus far. How you can avoid that, so you know what all the plans are in the area, you'll hit add non-licensed plans. So I had 12 plans. Now there's 46 plans that are actually available in the zip code for Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans. There's 12 of these. Now it's up to 46. So I always click on that because I know there's some ready to sells that haven't been registered in here. You can also use Medicare.gov and do the same exact thing. You can look up plans. 75204, Medicare Advantage, apply, start. Do you get help with your costs from one of these programs? You put, I'm not sure. Either log in. Do you want to compare your drug costs when you compare plans? You can put yes. Then you have to enter in the actual medication. So just for this purposes, I'll put no, so you guys can ultimately see what's available. So both of these resources work. Connexure is something that you can literally do self-enrollment through. Medicare.gov is just general information that the public can ultimately see and utilize. Anybody can go to Medicare.gov. Obviously, not everybody can go to Connexure. But when you look here, what Tyler mentioned for us to do was always sort by max out of pocket, low to high. So now it's going to rearrange all of these plans from the max out of pocket here, the 0%, the $0 out of pocket. But this one comes with the $215 premium. So that's obviously something that you wouldn't want to write. But it sorts it due to it being a $0 out of pocket. This Amerigroup 125.29. These are all anything. What do you say, Billy? Under like 5,000 is pretty good max out of pocket.
Yeah, anything under 5,000 is usually pretty good. And the bigger the city, the better it is, the more competitive it is. So if you're out in the middle of Timbuktu, there might be a 5,900, and that's it. You're not getting cheaper than that just because, they're not as competitive when they have market domination. That's something that we ran into. When you're working them smaller communities, you can definitely see differences.
And while you were talking about that, Gage, the Medicare.gov, Billy, maybe you know this, but when we were in Sacramento, there was an agent that said that she goes on to Medicare.gov and has them create an account if they don't already have one. And if they do already have one and you create one, you can see what plan they have. Because like some people, like for example, I asked my grandma, I was like, hey, can you send me your Medicare? And she just sent me the original Medicare card. But then she was like, oh, but I have ARP. And I was like, oh, so that means she has United Healthcare too. But like, she didn't really know when I asked her like what she had. So is that true? I don't
mean, so here's the deal. It probably is, but I can just tell you from experience, I wouldn't be trying to create an account for some of these people because a lot of them don't have internet. A lot of them don't use the internet. Some of them don't have email addresses. So you're setting yourself up for, you know, a 45-minute, 2-hour IT call when you can pick up the phone. And I mean, you can have them look at bills if they have bills.
Okay.
There's a lot of different things that you can do, Michaela. I personally wouldn't do it that way, but that's just because I've seen the people that we sit down with. Most of them are not technology minded. I mean, we've dealt with flip phones, no text messages.
Yeah.
You know, you could.
But is that a thing though? You can look up their plan if they do have an account. I totally get what you're saying. That would cause a lot of like, okay, now we're sitting for 45 minutes over crap that they're never going to use after the fact. But if they do or have an account, is like, have you done that yet where you can like look
No,
up?
I have not looked it up like that. We would just, I mean, most people know who their carrier is. They might not know what plan they're in, but they'll know they use Humana or something like that.
Okay, cool.
I know that the lady that spoke about this is a veteran in the game. So I would assume that if she's suggesting that to a room and they were saying that's possible, then it will it's just like if they have SSA.gov, it'll show you all of their Social Security benefits, what their income is, their taxes. So I'm assuming if SSA.gov does that, Medicare.gov would do the same. But Billy is 100% accurate on the type of clientele that we'll be dealing with. First of all, you got to understand if they're tech savvy or not, if they actually have an email, if they know how to read an email. If they don't, then it's probably not a good idea to even bring this up or suggest it to them. But if they're pretty tech savvy, they're on their phone, they know how to maneuver it, then it's something that could be easily accessible and to be able to avoid long waits or whatever on the phone with
for Anthem. Gage, what carrier? I mean, how do we? I mean, it pops up. I mean, obviously we know a lot of this and a lot of in our area, but how do I even? Mine says not licensed to sell. I mean, I don't even have it on my list. Is it something else?
Yeah, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we're waiting on something with Billy. Billy's been trying to get it over to me. I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay, so we're just okay. That's why.
Yeah, so I'm ready to selling it now. So it should I thought there were a couple people that have been able to request it.
Let me see. I'm in my Reagan AI right now.
Go to your Reagan AI and then go to onboarding.
All right, I have one more question, then I'll be good. But I know Gage had mentioned like that 5-star plan in like whatever area, and they can enroll at any time of that 5-star plan. How did you find out, other than obviously asking our reps? Is there like, can you go to Medicare.gov and find out that there's a 5-star plan in a county, or how do you find that out?
Yeah, you just sort by ratings.
Okay, cool.
Oh, here, I'll go back to here. You can do it on both. You can do it on Connecture and you can do it on Medicare.gov. When you go over here.
And can you explain that to everyone? Because I think that's huge. If there's a county nearby, you just drive out there, and just rip.
I mean, yes, to the being able to enroll people, but you can't approach people about Medicare. They have to bring it up to you. So you can't just go to a county and just start ripping. You have to generate some type of leads to start talking to people. But then that's how important it is to get referrals in that area, because people will be eligible for that plan in that area. So if you can see my screen, I did Medicare star ratings is what I sorted it by. And then these stars are going to reflect what type of rating the plan's getting. So when an individual, so this is 4.5, so this wouldn't count. But these 3 plans, if someone is eligible for the plan, it elects a special election or initiates a special election period. So that's how I was able to take an enrollment last week, was because the gentleman was in this county that had a 5-star plan available to him and he was not enrolled into it. So that creates an SEP, special election period. So these are the 3 that are here in Dallas. They're all through United, but you can do Medicare.gov, find plans, 75204, Medicare Advantage.
And I guess when would it be a time that you wouldn't, because obviously not everyone in Dallas County is going to want that plan, but when would be a time where you wouldn't want to enroll them in a 5-star plan?
When their doctors aren't in network,
Okay.
when prescriptions aren't covered. So there's a lot of people who go to a specific doctor or get specific medications that may not be covered in that plan.
Gotcha.
So that's why they'll say it's the best plan available. It checks the box on benefits that are provided. So you can't use the word best, can't use the word free. You gotta eliminate that out of our vocabulary.
Meets all the guidelines, right?
You said what?
It meets all the guidelines for a 5-star.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like Gates said, the doctors play a part, but the other thing is too, and you're going to see this when you go out to these people's houses, they might be adamant against the carrier. And it might be because 7 years ago they had problems. So just know that just because something's a 5-star doesn't mean the person's going to be on board with it. But the good thing about being in a 5-star area is it opens opportunity at all times.
So
like
when you when you go to Medicare.gov, you can go underneath the star rating and hit the 5 stars and then hit apply. And then, so in Dallas, there's the 4. So that's what Connecture ultimately showed too. Or there's 3. So there's one on here that is offered. I think it was the Patriot Give Back or whatever. I've seen that one. What was it? Yeah, or this Patriot one that wasn't popping up on our end. But you can do this with any zip code anywhere in the nation. 75216. I know it's still Dallas. You can update it. Still these same 4 plans. But Billy's absolutely correct. And some people will have preferences on the carriers. Like I was talking to my grandpa over the weekend, like I said, he said, I tried out Humana, don't like them, don't want them. So I'm not gonna, force my grandpa into Humana because I know they have good benefits. His experiences altered him from wanting to get that type of enrollment with that carrier. Same thing maybe with United or WellCare. The lady that, the second lady I sat with, she's been on Humana the entire time. She said 1 year she switched to WellCare, she'll never go back.
Yeah.
She doesn't like WellCare.
Well, they don't play.
Some of these people have preferences. So that's going to be a big thing as well.
Hey, this is another thing, and I know this might sound advanced, but it's really not. And I want you guys to kind of process what I'm about to say. So, huge opportunity if you're in a particular area and you know you're going to be running that area, to pay attention to the first looks. And what I mean by that is first looks are like, and I just looked at Houston, Texas, because I wanted to look at Orange and Jefferson County and some places. And I went in there to see if there were new plans coming out. And I'm just looking at Humana's first look. And I just saw right now where the Humana Honor PPO gives back $125 and it's new. So guess what? Any person that's on that plan, the old one without that money is an automatic enrollment if I sit down with them. So look for opportunities in your area based on the new plans that are rolling out. Because Joe, when we did training in San Antonio, what did he say? He's got 3 guys that are going up to Austin to enroll 500 and something people because a plan changed. Like literally, if a plan changes in an area and it upgrades benefits, and that's a dominated plan in the area, there's opportunity to convert so many clients. So keep that in mind. You know, there's put some thought into where you're going and what you're looking to do. Because if you go in an area that didn't have any changes and there's only 5,000 people there, there's a good chance when you go in there, those people are going to be in a carrier that they've been in for a while, unless you catch them at 65. But just, you know, keep in mind, there's some strategy that goes into planning this.
So like Beto, I would definitely get first look at Stanislaus, if that's where you're gonna go down and run, or any of you Northern California people where they're dropping mail. Stanislaus and what was the other county? It's the long one. I can't even think of it. Any of you guys remember that at all?
San Joaquin.
No, not San Joaquin. I appreciate it. It's St. Louis Obispo. St. Louis Obispo.
Mateo. St. Louis Obispo.
Yes, that one. So in St. Louis Obispo and Stanislaus, they're dropping mail in those areas. So those would be two areas that I'd be checking out their first look plans, so you guys are aware. Or if you're in whatever city that you're in, or you plan on running business, just checking out those areas so you got first glance, like Billy said. So I seen a question in here from Christopher Rodriguez. So our Heartland team, hey Gina, our Heartland team chose areas where there was a lot of LIS and opportunities to drop mail. So as far as this AEP goes, we've already dropped all mail, but that doesn't mean that we can't drop mail on OEP or get some of these carriers to subsidize for OEP, which is January to March.
Look, here's a suggestion too, because one of the things that Sprout and I found to be extremely important and exciting is the amount of appointments you can have. So what I would suggest, whenever you have your game plan, and I plan on doing this, and I know some other people do, is get final expense leads in the same area so that you're filling in gaps, but you also got that big button on that says, ask me about Medicare. And if you're, I mean, there's a couple people that have shirts being made, because literally you could go to Subway for lunch and have a shirt on the back and it says, ask me about Medicare. And grandma might ask you about Medicare. And then that's 100% legit. So, I mean, I see the way some of you guys dress and it's goofy enough, put ask me about Medicare on it. And then it at least is a business write-off. So you can take that Lululemon shirt and make it a write-off. But no, seriously, I mean, you know, think about that. Like, why would you go out to the field with 3 appointments when you could potentially have 8? With that ask me about Medicare button, I can promise you, you get in that house, there's a great chance, about a 99.5% chance they're going to ask you about Medicare.
Go ahead, Jordan. I know you got a question.
Hey, I'm doing the Humana carrier training. So I took my AHIP back in like April, right? But it was 2022. I thought that was preparation for.
So June 20th, 2022 was when the 2023 AHIP cert came out.
Man.
Yeah, so that April one you did for 2022. And it was like June 22nd. So we actually held off at the beginning of June when we were going to do it, because they told us there was no point in us doing it at the beginning of June when later that month it was going to come out. So you have to do the AHIP 2023.
It did me dirty. So I see it said recertification. Has anybody done that? Like, is that the full course? Or?
Yeah. Here, Jordan, I'll lie to you and make you feel better. No, man, it's easy. Just go ahead and do the recertification. It's easy. You'll love it.
Final exam. I took the final exam on June 1st.
Close, but no cigar, my man. 2023, here we come.
All right.
But it's the special version, though.
Special. Okay. Got it.
Hey, Sprout, are you available? You still on the phone?
No, I'm good now. What's going on?
Nothing, man. I just wanted you to kind of just elaborate real quick before we let everybody go on to their days here. You've probably run the most appointments out of anybody on this call. And so just if you can touch base on some things that maybe you had in your mind that were big mental barriers, or some things that really like prevented you from making moves, and then once you got out there, you're like, damn it, why didn't I make moves quicker? Anything that you can touch base on, because you've got the most experience.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just like starting anything new. Like when I started life insurance, I was going out there just uncertain, and was nervous about certain things. And the same went for Medicare. I went out there and I was under the impression that there was a lot more to it, but there's really not. As far as the compliance aspect is, yes, you want to make sure you're doing everything compliantly. But once you can figure out where to find the resources you need, as far as like in Connecture, the important things, making sure that their primary care physicians in network, putting in their medications correctly to make sure those are covered. And really just being able to break down and show them a summary of benefits and compare and contrast, what they currently have as opposed to what you're offering. That part is just the part. It's actually really simple, but we don't know what we don't know. I thought there was a lot more to it, but the system actually does all the work for you. Just make sure you're inputting the data correctly. And then, it's really simple. The enrollment itself takes literally like 1 minute. I mean, it's super easy. You just have to remember that, you don't have to go out there and be the know all be all with everything. Just know that if you don't have the right answer, just reassuring the client, like, hey, I have a great idea of what this looks like here, and what your situation looks like, but I always like to double check my work and call somebody in the office. And then, especially your first few appointments, you're going to want to make sure you do that and have a point of contact just to make sure you're doing everything correctly, because not to add any more pressure to you, but if you do something that's not covered, or it's really bad if you're messing up their like health situation, whether that be their med costs, their doctors, their in-network doctors, things like that can really mess up their situation. That's a quick way to get somebody pissed off at you. But just make sure you're double checking your work at first, just like anything else, making sure you're putting in the right info, making sure everything you're able to completely understand the summary of benefits, who's in network and who's not. And just reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, and just making sure you're getting, you're reading everything correctly. And once you get past that part, it's super simple. The first day I went out doing this, like my confidence level was at like a negative 100. But, I just got to know, you just got to have the tenacity to go out there and be uncomfortable, and just knowing that you're learning something new while still also having that professional demeanor. You don't want to go out there like, oh, well, I don't know, but I can find out. They don't need to know that. And they don't know, don't know what you're doing. Just, act professionally, like, hey, yeah, I believe this is going to be the best plan for you. I just want to double check with our senior underwriter here just to verify. And then, go in and explain to them. But just after doing my first appointment, I was already 100% more confident. And then just after appointment, just compounded. And now, I'm by no means a professional, but I definitely know, what I'm doing, and I know the right places to look, and what resources, where to find the information I'm looking for. And it's really, honestly, it's so easy once you do it a few times. I think once everyone does their first enrollment, they're gonna be like, okay, that was super freaking easy. And it's not like you're having to close these folks. You're not asking them to give you a premium for something. Most times, there are a few policies where there may be a little premium associated with it, but most times it's at no cost to them. So you're really, in fact, especially on a supplement, giving these folks a lot of money back. And one thing I've noticed is people aren't used to getting money back, and they're not used to hearing good news. So when you tell them something like, oh, you know, I know this sounds crazy, but we're going to save you 200, 300, some cases $500 a month plus on top of their supplemental, their med sup costs and their drug costs, like people are going to be like, well, wait a second, dude, like this sounds too good to be true. Like, what are you getting out of this type of thing? And in fact, we had a lady ask us that, like, what are you guys getting out of this? And we were just transparent with them. So, you know, we're paid, you know, based just on putting you in the best spot. We're going to get paid X amount of dollars per month for you being on our client list. And the reason why we get that is because we're going to be the point of contact for you to service you and making sure you're taken care of with whatever it is you might need. So just a lot of people, basically what I'm saying is a lot of people aren't accustomed to getting money back or getting something given to them. So a lot of times they think it's too good to be true, or they think whatever the situation is, and you just explain to them, well, these Medicare Advantage plans are, you know, rather new, and they're just getting more and more perks to them. That's why a lot of people are now choosing these over a Medicare supplement plan. But as far as everything goes, I mean, it's just one thing I'll say with this too is if you're not already don't really have good customer service with your clients, one thing you're going to want to do to be able to maintain and retain these clients on your books, if you don't already have it, you know, you're going to want to get an admin or something like that, or get your customer service reviews up personally so you can actually service these folks and making sure they're being taken care of. Because I'll tell you this, the first time that Betty is having some issues with her health insurance and she calls you a couple of times, you're not answering or responding, she's out of there quick. Now with life, you might get a little more lenience even on that if they're trying to contact you, you know, but when it comes to people's Medicare, the medicines, medical needs, you know, they're going to want to have somebody they can talk to about that. So if you're not good at answering your phone, I recommend that you definitely get good at that aspect of this business. I'm not saying you're going to get bombarded with it, because I haven't as of this point, but just make sure you're really servicing your clients and you're not just looking for a quick enrollment and think you're going to get paid $25 or whatever it is for the life of that client, but you're never answering their calls. So I know that was a little long-winded, but that's just kind of what I've gathered here since I've started.